This is my Canon 550D, or the T2i if you're American. Around 8 or 9 years ago, I bought this camera. It was my very first DSLR. If you're a camera person, I don't know if you remember the time where everyone wouldn't shut up about the 5D Mark II. This camera was the poor man's version. I proceeded to use it for professional photography work, shot some music videos, some promo videos, everything on this camera, but it just won't die. The thing is, in the meantime, I became a YouTuber. I now need to put out content way more often than I used to when I was shooting music videos or wedding videography. And for that, I needed a camera that was more reliable, that could withstand heat for a long period of time, that I could plug directly into my computer via a capture card. And this is just where the list starts when it comes to this camera. It's amazing, I love it. But if you're not doing, filmmaking with it, there's a couple of features that make it so hard to use for a YouTuber. The very first one is if you're gonna be in front of the camera and not behind it, you definitely need a swivel screen. Did I just scratch it? Okay, no, I didn't. You definitely need a swivel screen, which this one doesn't have. So if you were trying to film yourself, you cannot see anything. So you can't tell if you're out of frame, if you're framed wrong, or if you're out of focus. Talking about focus, this doesn't have active autofocus, meaning that if you're live, as soon as you hit record, you can set it to a focus. You can do autofocus to set the focus point, but it's not gonna move during the video. So you can go in and out of focus during the whole time, which is an issue that I don't have with this camera. This is a Sony ZV-1. It will snap into focus, recognize my face, follow my eye, and I will stay in focus. This camera doesn't do that. Another annoying thing is that those cameras were not meant to be used for longer videos. If you're recording video, in order to prevent overheating, the video will actually stop at around 12 minutes. You cannot film more than 12 minutes with this camera. And even worse, every 24 minutes, this camera will actually shut itself down, where you have to turn it off and on again in order to get it to work. All right, so those were the reasons why I don't use it as my main camera that I'm currently using. This is a Sony ZV-1 that I'm using right now, and this helps me for my videos, also live streaming. But I still want to use this camera. I would still like to, if I want to film a video that is less than 12 minutes, I just want to talk, I'm filming an intro or an outro, I still want to use this camera. But how do I film myself, be perfectly framed, and also be in focus? Well, I could technically do all of that if I could just see. So this is where this little tiny monitor comes into play. It slides in with the cold shoe. And now if I turn it on, I'll be able to see if I'm in focus. I will be able to frame myself or move the tripod a little bit in order to have the perfect frame. And thanks to a little thing called Magic Lantern, look it up, I'll be able to look at my audio levels. So if I'm peaking, I will be able to know. So by simply adding one tiny little monitor, I've efficiently turned this camera into a, self-recording machine. I still don't have the autofocus, but if I go out of focus, I will be able to see it, and I will just have to place myself back into focus. Now, the 7-inch monitor is not necessary because there's actually some kits, or you can probably DIY some kit for yourself to have a mirror that will basically reflect what it's at the back. But the thing is, I want to be able to see it perfectly. I don't want to count on a mirror if I am standing further away from the camera. I want to be able to see everything in detail. So this little monitor that says HD, even though it's not HD, it's something like 1200 by 600 or something like that, is absolutely phenomenal. So I actually bought this one from AliExpress for $34.73. So let's say 35 euros, meaning it's a little under $40, I believe. And when you open the box, you'll get the monitor. You're actually gonna get the charger. You'll find an AV cable for some reason, and a remote control. I didn't know that it actually came with a remote control, which is very useful. You press the power button to turn it on, and then you have a menu where you can calibrate it a little bit. It's not the best. The quality isn't that crisp, but it's absolutely enough for you to see. Compared to the 4-inch LCD that is in the back of the camera, you can switch in between the sources. And talking about sources, so in the back, you'll see that you have the AV, representative of the cable that you actually got. You have HDMI, which is amazing, meaning that you can use this for pretty much anything. You want to slap like a Raspberry Pi or an actual PC. You have an old laptop that died and you want to use that as some sort of weird media center, or you just wanted to display some information, you can do that. And then there's VGA, meaning that this will work with some old computer or old graphics card. On the website, well, on AliExpress, you had the option to buy a cold shoe adapter that would make it basically stand, but I already had all the accessories that I needed. So I have this cold shoe that I just put on my camera and then screw into the 1/4 inch thread that is at the bottom. This little notch at the back is actually some place to put a cold shoe, but I don't know why they would place it that way. I wish there was a 1/4 inch thread at the top or at the side so I can mount more accessories, which is why I actually had to mount my mic on a separate little arm, a little metal arm right there. But yeah, the remote control, I haven't used it yet, but it gives you access to the menu so you can calibrate from a distance. Video select, which I'm guessing is the switch source mode, and then there's mode select, which I have no idea what that is. But I don't think I'm going to be using the remote control that much. What I would love is to have a remote control for my actual camera, because now that we solved the problem of the swivel screen, something that would be cool in order, for example, to combat the lack of autofocus would be to have a remote control shutter button. Because on those cameras, if you press the shutter button for a little bit, it should focus. And the little beep beep, I don't know if you can hear it. That means that you're in focus. Meaning that if I ever want to move a little bit while filming from the same position or a different position, I need to focus a second time. Now I can manually rack focus, or it would be cool to have a little remote control that would work with it. But in conclusion, I'm really happy with this little monitor. It's really gonna help me use this camera once again. I also have the Movo VXR10. That's the little mic that I intend on using. I have a video on that, so check it out. And it solves so many of my problems, and being able to see myself while I'm recording was the main problem. When it comes to external monitors, we all know about like the Atomos Ninja, is that what it's called? But you know, those crazy monitors where you can apply LUTs, they have touch screens and they're super expensive. They're like 300 to 500 bucks. In my case, I just wanted to see my screen somewhere else. I could have bought a 5-inch monitor. It would have worked too. So I believe this I saw some pictures where this was actually used as a rear view camera monitor. So this might be it. If the only thing you need is to add an external monitor, use those rear view camera monitors for cars. That will help you save some money. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend this monitor if you're actually going to film any important stuff like actual advertisement or music videos or promo videos. But for personal use like YouTube, I definitely recommend it. So yeah, next upgrade will be figuring out the shutter situation in order to rack focus and use the autofocus from a distance. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this. There's a quick release here. If I can just... and boom, there you go. Of course, this would be plugged in. Whoop. I do need to find a shorter HDMI cable. There's no reason for this to be that long. So yeah, that was my review of this tiny 7-inch HD monitor. Please remember, it is not HD. You will not get 720p. You will not get 1080p. It is 1200 by 600 if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, it's 1024 by 600. But for less than 40 bucks, it's kind of a lifesaver. If you would like to get one, there will be a link in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I still don't have an outro, but I feel like saying that I still don't have an outro might be my outro. So I'm keeping it for now. See ya.